I know, it seems like a lot more people will be wearing Kane jerseys over Taves jerseys and, shit like that. And I don't think people really realize the NHL, you don't know who's going to win. But you kind of do. Because there's certain things in the NHL that without them, there's absolutely no fucking way you're going to win anything. And you need a dominant two-way center, preferably a big guy. Unless you're fucking Crosby. You want a dominant two-way center, a dominant two-way defenseman, and then build off of that. Once you have those two things, you're set for a fucking good run. You might win a cup. Kopitar and Doughty, Taves, Keith, and Seabrook, and even last year, John Carlson and Nick Backstrom. You need those guys who are gonna win you draws, and those guys at the back end who are gonna just eat up minutes, shut down other teams' top lines, and give you some offense also. And it's not a very difficult formula. I could go back on any fucking team that's ever won the Stanley Cup, and I'll have that formula. I just mentioned Taves, or the Blackhawks and the Kings, Letang and Crosby, and then Malkin. You go back, Bergeron, Chara, Krejci. You go even further back, Crosby and Malkin and Letang again, and then, you can just fucking go on this list, but, without centers and without defensemen, you're not going to win shit. You can get a hot goalie, Man, I feel like the NHL is starting to shift a little bit towards skill. It's like the American game more than the Canadian game, which is more skill than smarts. But I'm telling you, there's nothing more important than dominant center in the NHL. And if you can get a once-in-a-lifetime defenseman, then you're fucking set because, do the Sharks have anyone? Do the Sharks have a really good offense? Not really. They didn't even have Joe Thornton last year for the playoffs. Pavelski's old. Couture's good. They don't really have an amazing offense, but Brent Burns carries the load. That man, this is the exact prototypical defenseman I want on my team, is a big two-way defenseman. Oh my. That man, if you're fucking playing against him, it's not a good time. And as much as I love Doughty and, Duncan Keith and all these guys, even Brent Burns also, these aren't once-in-a-lifetime defensemen. They're superstar defensemen, but they are not generational defensemen. They're not Chris Pronger. They're not Scott Niedermayer kind of defensemen. And, we don't really have one right now because is Carlson once-in-a-generation defenseman? I don't think he's a once-in-a-generation defenseman. I think he's a good defenseman. Very good defenseman, but he's not generational. We haven't seen one, honestly, since Pronger. That's the last time we've seen a generational defenseman. Like, one that when was the last time a defenseman was the best player in the NHL? You think of the top 5 players, for me, I'd go Crosby and McDavid are pretty much 1, 2, and then you ask me who I'd want, I'd take Taves, Kopitar, and, I don't know, Stamkos, Tavares, another good two-way center. We need those big defensemen, man. Or like a Bobby Orr kind, and there hasn't been one of those in so long. And, the game is evolving. It's more speed, which kind of pisses me off, other than smarts. Even though Crosby, till past season, the last 2 cups were Crosby. And he's the epitome of hockey IQ. Him and Letang. But, yeah. Give me a big center over a fucking skilled winger who's going to give you, some nice beauties, but I don't really give a fuck about that, honestly. I think the Blackhawks without Kane, they're still a good team. Blackhawks without Taves, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. And you can't even argue that. People that say Kane is better than Taves is absolutely fucking ridiculous. You don't know anything about hockey if you're saying Kane's better than Taves. Okay, yeah, that's it for this fucking rant.